Nigeria is a disgrace. The whole thing is a disgrace. They're killing people by the thousands. It's a genocide, and I'm really angry about it.
Those who long for peace must prepare for war. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war. Not because we want war. No one here wants war. But it's because we love peace.
Whether in ancient or modern times, warfare and crisis have always been as a result of people saying no to control and domination, while demanding freedom, independence, and self-determination. Most humans always want freedom, truth, justice, and peace. However, there are bad eggs who seek control and enslavement over others. So humanity at this point, I believe, should seek for better ways of resolving conflicts. Rather than mass casualty, there should be a better way to identify, isolate, quarantine troublemakers, and also put structures in place to prevent these types of human crises. This is what President Trump and the American Department of War, in partnership with the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS. This is what they seek to do in Nigeria as an immediate way to deal with the ongoing ethno-religious killings by the invading Fulani terrorists and other terrorist groups who have been on a conquest agenda in Nigeria and the entire sub-Sahara region in Africa for years. America is coming to deal with the monster terrorists that have proven very difficult to deal with by the Nigerian government.
They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria, and they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
While the Indigenous Ethnic Nationalities Alliance, the NINAS, like I mentioned, we deal with the failed system that led to the state failure and ungovernable breeding space for terrorists. It is African solution that will bring the reconstruction of Nigeria and other troubled places in Africa and maybe the world, because it's like a template to resolve crisis. Nigeria always claims to have democracy, but I can tell you, a so-called democracy that does not guarantee the safety of lives and property is worthless and totally useless. The 1999 Constitution is not fit for purpose because it was meant to be a secular constitution, but today it supports dualism, that is Sharia law and blasphemy law, pretending to be a democratic system. So Nigeria now is technically an Islamic state because we heard it's registered in OIC, that's the Organization of Islamic Countries. This is why on the 16th December 2020, NINAS, that's the Indigenous Ethnic Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, refuted that 1999 Unitary Constitution as basis for the union of death that Nigeria has become through a constitutional force majeure. The 1999 Constitution being a social contract whose terms and conditions have been violated ceases to be a legitimate contract. A new contract with fresh and new terms and conditions is what Nigeria needs today, because life is sacrosanct and human beings are born equal. But Sharia law and blasphemy law cannot be part of a true democracy, and he does not believe that life is sacrosanct. For us to understand what America is saying, we must go back to those who initiated this conversation of genocide and threat to life with the American government. That is NINAS. No matter the narrative anyone chooses, we must all agree that this bloodshed is over 20 years now, and those who ought to defend the people have not done enough to stop it. So whether we call it that it's Christians being massacred, or whether we say it's Muslims, traditionalists or enemies, one thing is clear: defenseless villagers, defenseless natives, defenseless indigenous peoples are being massacred and butchered, sacked from their communities and villages, and their ancestral homelands are being renamed. The solution to this problem becomes easier when we ask honest and sincere questions. Some of the questions we need to ask are: who are those sacking these indigenous peoples from their rich ancestral homelands? Another question is: who is funding and equipping these invaders? And then we'll come to another question: why is it that the indigenous peoples cannot defend themselves? Why are they defenseless? Who is stopping them from defending themselves? Why is it impossible? Why has it become so difficult for them to be defended or for them to defend themselves? Because usually they give them notice before they come, and they try to notify the Nigerian security officials. But these security officials do not ever appear on time. They will always come after the people have been massacred. And then even the people themselves are helpless to organize and defend themselves. Why is this so? When we properly classify these attacks as terror and terrorism, see, the picture becomes clearer. Fulani invaders are on Fulani conquest agenda. If these invaders are foreign and non-indigenous, another question that we need to ask is: why can't they be stopped at Nigerian borders? It means that those who should stop them have been compromised. We have videos where military officers and security officers claim internal sabotage. So if our current unitary and national defense system has been compromised and overwhelmed, it then means that we need to do something different. We need to reorganize ourselves, decentralize and arm regions and communities to defend themselves at source, rather than wait for Abuja to come to people's defense. But you know what? The 1999 Unitary Constitution says this is not possible. The 1999 Constitution arms the invaders, protects the invaders, while rendering the victims defenseless. Yes, you heard me right. That's the type of constitution that is in place in Nigeria. So in this seemingly complex problem, we must stay focused on what it is that we want. Of course, we want long-lasting peace, safety, and stability. You must agree with me that justice precedes peace. You cannot be claiming that you want peace when you are not interested in bringing solution, in solving the problem, in dealing with people's grievances in such a way that there will be justice, so that peace, long-lasting peace, can return.
We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. And as history teaches us, the only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history. Either you protect your people and your sovereignty, or you will be subservient to something or someone. It's a truth as old as time.
In 2019, the United Nations sent in a special rapporteur, and after her investigation, she made a declaration. She said, under the 1999 Unitary Constitution, Nigeria is a pressure cooker for injustice and a threat to global peace. So we all agree, or at least most sensible people that have tried to analyze or investigate what is going on in Nigeria have agreed that it is wrong to have a unitary constitution when you're supposed to be practicing a federal system. Of course, the suggestion that the terrorists or their sponsors are not known is quite laughable. Because you know what? They are known. They are known to those that are not naive. They are known to those that are sincere. They are definitely known to the American government and the Department of War. Just like President Trump said, taking out these people will be vicious, fast, and swift. It means that they know their targets. They come in and take them out. When we talk about America, we're talking about a very organized country that has mounted surveillance against global terror network for years. So they've been monitoring movement of cash, videos, social media messages, and everything.
So our message to these foreign terrorist organizations is we will treat you like we have treated Al-Qaeda. We will find you, we will map your networks, we will hunt you down, and we will kill you. We know exactly who these people are. We know what networks they work with, what foreign terrorist organizations they're a part of. We know where they're going, where they originated from, what they're carrying.
What is our concern now is how to reorganize our space after weeding off these wild beasts, so there will not be a reoccurrence. The ancient scriptures, by that I mean the Bible, tells us in Matthew 12:43-45 and Luke 11:24-26. These scriptures teach us that after taking out unclean spirits from a space, that you do not sweep the place and leave it empty and ungoverned, because the demons will return with 7 other wicked spirits, and he says the position of the people will be worse. So what do we do then? Because where we are now, we are beyond taking out the terrorists. That's a done deal, because America is coming. For them, is national security. It's their own safety too, because when the whole resources enter the hands of these terrorists, the whole world, especially America, will be dealing with what they didn't bargain for. So they are ready to take them out. Our concern now as indigenous peoples in Nigeria is, what do we do after they are taken out? How do we reorganize? How do we put systems and structures in place so that we don't have a reoccurrence? So what do? We must put a strong new system in place. Yeah, I said new, because if you continue to do something wrong and expecting a better result, somebody says it's insanity. So we must put a strong new system in place to ensure that we do not end up with ungovernable spaces again. We must return these spaces to their original owners for proper governance, protection, and proper development. The ancient people of Igbo culture, Ndigbo, says, na efi ora na ala nago. Efi ora na ala nago. Meaning, a community cow gets abandoned in the farmland because each person says, oh, that person, we go bring the cow back. The other person will say, oh, that person is the other person's responsibility. Oh, it's that person's responsibility. And eventually, the cow will be abandoned in the farmland. Nobody will bring the cow back home after the cow has been taken for grazing. So, you see, we are talking about accountability, responsibility. You cannot have governance if you don't have a way of saying this and that is for so person. So person is responsible for that. And then when they're done, you hold them accountable. You check, did you do what you're supposed to do? You must have a system to do all this. Otherwise, you're not going to have governance. So we must stop joking in Nigeria. We must put system in place to put things in order. This brings us to Nina's 5 points proposition and templates, if you want to call it, for reconstruction of Nigeria and giving sovereignty back to the indigenous ethnic nationalities. Yes, you heard me right. Since colonialism, since neo-colonial projects, the sovereignty of the indigenous peoples have been taken away from them, have been hijacked. And that's why we have ungovernable spaces. So for us to make sure that these spaces are properly governed, we must give back sovereignty to the owners of the ancestral lands, or at least find a system that will make sure that the owners of the land are in charge of their space and they are responsible for protecting it, for building it up, for developing it, and making sure that invaders do not come in to kill their people. There must be a way to do that.
Can now relate properly with the 5-point proposition of Ninas. What are those 5 points? You remember, the first one we say the union, the country, those who are operating in Nigeria must now acknowledge the union dispute. That is, that there are grievances across the land that have become a dispute that must now be resolved. That's item 1. Does that not connect with the first thing? Item 2 in the 5-point demand is that constitution must now be decommissioned wholesale. It has to become your demand, not Nina's demand. Item 3, no further national elections. It must become your demand until the government goes to do what South Africa did in 1990 with apartheid by making an announcement that they are going to solve the problem. And item 4, that it has to be according to what Ninas wrote in that 5 points to say it is the owners of the sovereignty, not the government, not the National Assembly, not Benjamin Kano, not Fakwahunda, that will write. You have to sit down as the owners of sovereignty to decide what you do. And then you insist on a time-bound announcement for how and when. The Ninas proposition is the only proposition on the table today in Nigeria that identifies clearly what the problem is, what the solution is, when the problem will be solved, how the problem will be solved, and who will do what and what in that solution. There's no other proposition that can answer those 5. I would think that if we dress back and pay attention, we can be out of this calamity in a matter of 2-3 months. We stop there. Thank you.
Thanks to Ninas, these indigenous ethnic nationalities have been prepared, organized, and equipped to step in to do what is needed to restore and rebuild their ancestral homelands. They are the owners of these lands and they must take charge. A true federal system where all constituent members are strong, effective, and efficient is what we're talking about. Not the present day disorganized, weak, and dysfunctional 36 states with their stupid 774 local government area structure. These structures are just like what the colonial monsters put in place, where they balkanized the indigenous peoples and nations into little powerless, defenseless political units that will be unable to hold their leaders accountable. So these people, this fake structure, this fake colonial structure was intentionally put in place so that the people are not able to hold their leaders accountable, and so that the exploitative capitalism that works hand in hand with colonialism and neocolonialism can go well uninhibited. That's how we got here. So the structure of Nigeria, the current structure you have in Nigeria, the system under the Unitary 1999 Constitution was purposely put in place to make sure that Nigeria is ungovernable, to make sure that the spaces are ungovernable, and anyone can come in to take whatever they feel like taking. That is how we got here. And to stop it and to fix it, we must go back to a better system that will put the lands back to the original owners and enable them efficiently take charge of their space, their assets, their resources, as well as protect their people. It is doable and we can do it. Thank you. Please help to subscribe, share, and then be part of this conversation. Of course, drop your comments. When we see your comments, we'll be able to know what video to bring to us again. And if you have questions, please ask. Because we're here to have meaningful conversation. We want to critically analyze the things that bother us so that we can bring solutions that can last. Thank you very much, and then please see you next episode.